So we warmly welcome you this evening to our Master of Social Work session. We hope this provides you with an overview of social work itself, the discipline of social work, and of course, social work at Melbourne in our specific course. And importantly, before we get started, we'd really like to acknowledge where I live, where I work, where our beautiful campuses are situated, and where the university, and that's the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who've been this custodians of this land for many, many thousands of years. We'd really like to acknowledge these custodians, our elders past and present, any First Nations people with us today joining this presentation, or who may watch this recording in future, and those people who have and who continue to contribute to the life of the university. And so in this time together now, as I said, very much like to welcome you to our profession, our discipline, to our course at Melbourne, give you a little bit of a sort of the inner world of our program in terms of some of our subjects, some of our course structure, ways and mechanisms of which, for selection and to enter our course, around our selection processes, and then we really invite your questions. And what's really lovely this evening, we're really pleased to be joined by my colleague, our Director of Field Education, Bronwyn, who will speak to you as well, and two of our current students, who it's terrific that they can join us and share their course experience with you too. So the challenges, so social work, the profession in which you are considering, joining this presentation with us tonight, there is an international federation of social workers. So if you like, this is our global body, and our International Federation of Social Workers introduces or defines social work in this way with this definition, saying social work is a practice-based profession and an academic discipline that promotes change and development, social cohesion, and the empowerment and liberation of people. And really importantly in this definition, it's saying principles of social justice, human rights, collective responsibility, and respect of diversity is central to social work practice. And so when we there's a lot in that definition, and so when we break that down and when we consider that further, this is really saying that our social work profession, we are really promoting social change. We are a change-focused profession, very much about the liberation, the empowerment of people with whom we work, and very much about a sense of well-being for those with whom we work. And our client might be a one-on-one, a person we're working with, a couple we're working with, a family, or a community in terms of community development work, to really help our client develop their full potential, their state of wellness to the extent of their circumstances. And really importantly here, our values inform all this work. So absolutely respecting equality, but respecting the dignity, the worth and dignity of everyone with whom we work. And so in terms of considering social work as a profession, social work is a profession that is very strongly recognised as a degree internationally. So if you study with us, in terms of then picking up your degree and taking it internationally, very strongly recognised. That's really important for you to know from the outset. We're a very multifaceted profession. What I mean by that is in some ways we have a 2-year qualifying degree. In some ways, this is a generalist degree in which you will be skilled, you will be qualified and skilled to work in multiple different pathways, in multiple different fields of practice. We'll talk to that shortly. What's really encouraging to see actually, is that employment pathways are really strongly consolidating for graduates. So upon your graduation from the course, in health, these graduate, and in mental health, these graduate pathways have existed for some time, but they're consolidating, they're expanding with more and more graduate specific places, as well as other fields, child protection and other fields. This is becoming more the practice we're seeing. And we are certainly a profession in demand. We've been doing some advocacy work recently and some reports at a national scale and looking up our data for our profession, even projected by 2026. So almost among the timelines, if you enter our degree and graduate, we have, this is a profession with huge projected growth, up to 23-24% over this time in the next few years. So this is a really rich area in terms of an area of profession very much in demand for our skill set. And then once you qualify in our degree and you're a qualified social worker, there are many other areas of further specialisation you can enter, you can consider. A really popular one, and hence mentioned here, is becoming a accredited mental health social worker, but there are many others you can consider. And in joining us specifically at Melbourne, you know, we are a 2-year full-time degree. We are accredited by our professional body, and our professional body is the Australian Association of Social Workers, the AASW. When you join us, you join a really rich and lovely department and team. So our staffing profile, we're quite diverse. We're quite different to each other. In some ways, that's our strength. So most of our staff have not only their practice experience and you know that they bring to teaching, but most of us have our own separate or diverse research interests. You know, and very much we want that research side to inform our teaching side. We want our practice links to inform our teaching. And a really easy and evident example of that is inviting in guest speakers and members of the field to talk to you during our lectures and our tutorials in terms of seeing how what we're learning in the classroom translates in the field into practice. Something in recent years in terms of curriculum innovation, so what maybe makes us or our programs stand out from other social work programs is some of our curriculum innovations. And particularly here, I'm probably referring here to quite a purposeful you know, focus on professional identity. So who are you at the point you enter our course? And from your first semester in the course, who are you in terms of developing yourself, in terms of your new profession, in terms of emerging as a social worker? This is scaffolding, this is thinking, and this is learning that from your first semester in the course, you'll then follow through your field subjects, your placement experiences that Bronwyn will talk to shortly, through to the very end of the course, where you'll walk away with your own practice portfolio and to really evidence yourself as now, at that point, an emerging social work practitioner. We have some very strong and loyal partnerships with industry, and Bronwyn will speak more to this in when she speaks about placements. And of course, when you join us, you're joining the university. So the resources and the esteem of not only our department, but also our School of Health Sciences, the Faculty of Medicine, Dentistry and Health Sciences, and the university more broadly. And look, COVID could feel a very long time ago in some respects, and then in some respects it still feels like it's little tiny bit breathing still down the backs of us. So in the sense of how we are still might be experiencing this is maybe some of the impacts we're seeing from our partners in the field. Our industry partners that might offer us placements and different opportunities. We have seen some real evidence of shifts in the workforce, maybe some revised service deliveries in some places. Used to be face-to-face, now might be face-to-face as well as telehealth or partly online. With adversity comes some silver linings. And so we've seen some really exciting shifts in some of our placement opportunities. We've seen some really new opportunities. And I think that's really important to mention too. Very importantly to mention though, is we are a place-based university. We are not a distance education course. So absolutely we want to see you and we need to see you. And as we emerge from our COVID affected years, and every day I feel like we're emerging, we're resuming more and more our on-campus, our beautiful Parkville campus, our face-to-face teaching. And so it's really important to say from next year, you must be able to attend our campus in Parkville to be able to participate in the course and meet the course requirements. And now I'll just invite my colleague, Bronwyn, just to speak us through some of the structures of the course.
Thank you, Nicole, and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along to listen to information about our wonderful degree. What we can see here on this slide is a very typical structure for a full-time degree in your first year. And these are some of the subjects that you would undertake if you join us at the beginning of the year next year. You'll see in semester one, the subjects that are listed, that there are 3 subjects within that semester which are prerequisites. So you need to pass those subjects to then undertake placement. And typically our placement period runs between those 2 coursework semesters, between May and August. And they are generally full-time placements of about 13 to 14 weeks and 500 hours full-time. And then in our second semester, after that placement, you get to bring the knowledge of what you have seen in context in those agencies through to our second semester subjects. Thanks, Nicole. Moving on to our final year, our second year subject, you'll see they're moving towards working beyond just with the individual, but thinking about families, communities, and also policy and research or evidence-based practice in terms of project work. So taking you in the second year to a wider focus. And then again, in the middle of that year, doing a final placement, which is ideally building on those skills and knowledge that you've grown and developed over the whole course so far. And for us, we have a semester at the end of that placement period where you're pulling together, again, coming to professional identity in a second subject there about who are you now at the end of this degree and moving out to look for graduate jobs. You'll see there it's also an opportunity through our degree to take one elective subject, and we have a range of electives to consider. Thanks, Nick. In terms of, you can see here, mental health, psychosocial oncology, suicide prevention, and a lot of these electives come from the areas of specialty that our staff are researching or have a very expert practice experience in. So you can see that there is a variety of electives to choose there, and we are a generalist degree, so you get one opportunity for an elective, but you can actually focus each of your assessments on a particular area of interest, if you like, in terms of life stage or particular impact. So we have a variety of assessment pieces within each of those assignments to sort of build that knowledge through our degree as well. So next, just thinking about field education, which is, my area of responsibility for our degree. And as I said earlier, there are 2 placements through our degree. They are typically taken full time. So it is a very full program across the two years. We do, however, have the opportunity to recognise your prior learning, either if you have taken a placement within another social work degree, or whether you have work-based experience that would be the equivalent to what we might expect you to do in your first placement. We do have a lot of industry partnerships where we are very fortunate to have placement opportunities for our social work students, because we are situated within the Parkville precinct and have a number of world-leading hospitals around us. So we have a strong program of hospital-based social work placements, but equally strong relationships within some of the child and family sectors, mental health and alcohol and other drugs, given the research relationships we do have with some of our academics in the program. But also we reach into our community. We find placement opportunities within some of our local and smaller social service agencies around our university. However, we have also opportunities in rural Victoria and the Northern Territory as well. And in your final year, potentially the opportunity to take an overseas placement. Because you may not know, we have rural health schools in Ballarat, Shepparton and Wangaratta, and exceptional opportunities there to do placements as well. Just as Nick, and one final point is our placements have become very creative over our COVID experience. We also have some opportunity for virtual or online placements. One of those placements could be that if some people are interested in e-health, e-counselling, but also some of our practice-based research placements are also have the opportunity to be virtual as well. But our students later on will probably be able to give you some of the discussion about what it's like to be on placement as well. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. And so just a few quick but important things to point out too. And never say never to this one. You might be considering first or graduate degree with us through the Master of Social Work. Very important for you to know from the outset that the way our degree is structured and through the number of credit points that you'll complete with us through our core subjects of research, you will be eligible to apply for PhD following the completion of your Masters, if you wish. And from there will be other criteria, eligibility and marks, etc. But just that first pathway, you will be eligible. Also importantly, much bigger than our social work department, more at a university level, there's a scheme called the GAM scheme, the Graduate Access Melbourne, of which you may or may not have heard. What this Graduate Access Melbourne scheme is about is to really assure that probably for many of us, there may be circumstances that have affected particularly tertiary level study that potentially may impact your course application. And so lodging one of these GAM applications could actually help and facilitate your entry into the course, particularly in terms of scholarship or bursary. We really encourage you, that there's links here, we really encourage you to read this if this feels that it could be potentially relevant. And similarly, support for any of our future applicants who may identify as a person of Australian Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander heritage, and is accepted by such as our Indigenous community. And similarly, some links and information here that you can read if you wish. And now to sort of the entry requirements for the degree as a whole. A few things here. These are on our website. You can read them here at the link. And we are accepting applications actively now for start year for 2024. So it's about the first criteria is really about having an undergraduate degree, a bachelor degree, that must have at least the equivalent of 1 year full-time of social sciences. Ideally, this is completed within the last 10 years. If it's not, it can be evidenced by further study that is within 10 years of more recent study that evidences your capacity at a graduate level. Hold the thought of social science. What does that mean? Because we'll have a look at it in one more slide's time. We also request, though, as part of your entry for your CV and your holistic CV, show us and please present to us who you are. And we really want to know. We really want to know you in your holistic sense of all your workplace experience, paid and unpaid, and volunteer experience, and other relevant skills and training in addition to your education. And please provide us with contact details for at least one professional referee. So ideally not an academic referee, but a professional referee. And that idea of needing to see at least sort of the equivalent of 1 year's evidence of social science, you'll see here, we follow the guidelines of the Australian Academy of Social Sciences. And if you look at this list, it's very broadly defined through, not only these domains, but primarily these domains. If people are unsure what that means, if you feel you're a little on the cusp of some of these or not purely aligned with one of these, we're really happy to have a separate conversation with you and see if we can help provide any more information on this. Just going back, though, the important detail here is that we are accepting timely applications up until the 31st of October, and then on a rolling basis from there. Beg my pardon. We will assess applications as they come in, but following that date in October as positions remain available in the course. So on to the lovely side of things. We are 80-something years old. I feel like we've made our 80th last for a few years. We're among the oldest institution in Australia, a little bit pardon me, a little bit pipped at the post by Sydney. We'll forgive them. But certainly we're the oldest in Melbourne and Victoria. We would be delighted, if you're welcoming and you're thinking of joining us in this profession. We'd love to welcome you to our alumni. A previous manager of ours used to say we know how to put the social in social work. And, it's a lovely thing to acknowledge that while study is very serious, so is the networking side, so is the chance to be social and the extracurricular things that go alongside our study. So now I'd like to really welcome two of our current students who have kindly joined us this evening. And I'll stop sharing so we can see you properly and listen. And I wonder if first we have Shawana, our first year student, and Vanshika, a second year student. I wonder if Shawana might welcome you to speak to us first. Let me stop sharing so we can, there we are, so we can properly see you and hear you. Thank you.
Sure, thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm Shuyan. I'm a first-year Master of Social Work student doing my second semester now. Before starting this program, I completed honors in psychology and had some experiences of working in psych-related areas, both in Australia and overseas. However, I realized the importance of access to support and resources, as well as practical issues across different dimensions, for example, cultural and social norms, social support and capitals, as well as housing, employment, and finances, which is much broader than the focus on inner worlds. So and these experiences also raised my awareness of gender inequality and social injustice, which inspired me to support people who are in disadvantaged situations. So that's the reason why I chose social work as my future career. And after I commenced social work study, I felt everything so right and so consistent with my personal values. I Because before I studied, I always find myself tend to consider social or individual issues in a more structural way and hope to seek solutions to these issues. So if you feel the same way, social work is a great career pathway for you too. Also, as I have psych background, MSW subjects are not too hard for me to study and comprehend, and I got exemptions for research subjects because of my prior study. If you have done similar subjects, I would encourage you to apply for advanced standing as well. And regarding my study experience so far, I found students and teaching staff are very supportive. I feel like they've created a very safe and respectful environment in classes for me to express my opinions and perspectives. And yeah, and I'm also a member and an international student representative of SWAGS, which stands for Social Work Association for Graduate Students. Every MSW student can join SWAGS and contact us if they have any concerns regarding study or placement. And we organize various events for students to socialize and connect with each other. We also advocate for students' rights and well-being and liaise with the Department of Social Work with Nicole and Bronwyn to ensure students' diverse perspectives and concerns can be heard. Yeah, and I just finished my first placement successfully, I think, 2 weeks ago at the Royal Victorian Eye and Ear Hospital. I came across almost every social work areas, including disability, aged care, child protection, homelessness, asylum seekers, LGBTQI+, and family violence. Yeah, I had not expected I would learn so much there. Yeah, as a first year student. And I also did a few psychosocial assessments independently, and I worked closely with the multidisciplinary team, including doctors, nurses, disability liaison officer, Aboriginal health liaison officers, and I made a lot of referrals to external agencies to ensure patients have supports in place post-discharge. Yeah. Yeah, I was well supported and given so many opportunities to learn and practice. And my tutor was Bronwyn, who also helped me a lot through facilitating this placement and providing valuable feedback and suggestions for my next placement and learning. Yeah, for me, studying MSW is the best choice I've ever made. And I'm passionate about learning more and being a good social worker in the future. Yeah, thank you.
That's terrific. Would like to congratulate you on such a milestone of finishing your first placements. That's terrific. I dare say there'll be a lot of questions for you in a very short amount of time. Thank you. And maybe I'll just now beautifully introduce Sanchika. Would you like to share with us your experiences? And then we will open up to questions. Thank you.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Manshika. I'm a final year master's social work student. I'm in my final semester as well, and it started today. So yay. I've done both my placements. I've done 3 semesters and I'm doing my 4th one. So I think I've got a well-rounded understanding of what the course looks like. One thing I will say is the course covers everything. I came into master's in social work with a background of bachelor's in psychology. And the reason I came into social work was because I knew I wanted to work in healthcare, knew I wanted to work in mental health, but didn't want to go down the research pathway. And University of Melbourne, because I graduated from here, advertised social work to me, read up on it, applied, got through. But then ever since I've done the course, you actually cover all different areas from policy to legal to counseling to research. And I think that sort of provides a broader understanding of the social work practical side. And every person who's taught me, all our tutors, all our lecturers, they're all professionals who are actually practicing in the field, which I think makes a big difference in terms of our learning experience, because a lot of the times theoretical knowledge can slip past your mind. But I think when you ask them questions, there's more of a practical explanation of like, when you see this in the real world, this is what it looks like. So I think I found that part the best in terms of my learning. I've actually been able to question all my tutors and been like, how can I apply this in a practical sense? And because they all have that background, it's been quite easy to understand that. I did my first placement last year. I did a project-based placement. It was good. But my favorite one is my second placement that I've done. It's at Royal Melbourne Hospital. And I dare say, I think it's one of the best placements that the university offers. It's well linked to the university because Royal Melbourne has a very good relationship with the university. There's really good support from the university. We were actually given the opportunity to go in once a week to the university, discuss what was happening on placement, what it looked like. And on placement, the professional development was unmatched. I think you start out shadowing your supervisors, and then slowly they support you in building those skills of psychosocial assessments, and all of that is social work related. But I think more than that, they build the skills of client interaction and consumer interaction, and you learn skills of working with staff members and working in the health sector, and the knowledge that you gain in that practical sector of learning legal systems in Victoria, learning health systems in Victoria like NDIS. I think that's been amazing. And I think because I'm completing my second placement, I can very confidently say that I actually feel ready to go out into the real world and do jobs and work in the health sector because of the support that I've had throughout placement from my supervisors and the university. Another thing, I know that a lot of us go into social work and we're like, we don't know what jobs look like in the future, but I think the university has been really helpful. I've approached Bronwyn, I think one-on-one so many times, just asking her to connect me to people. And I think that's really helpful when you're learning from people who have that practical experience, because they're able to network you into professionals outside the university as well. And I think for anyone considering Master of Social Work, I would say apply, take use of the fact that this university offers so many sessions, even prior to admission, to have those consults, to have that one-on-one interaction, and even on placement or during the coursework, use those resources. And yeah, I think the staff themselves are very supportive, and the coursework is quite manageable. I work part-time and I'm able to do the subjects and work part-time, and I've never found it extremely hard. You're still studying a master's level coursework, and I think that's what you should expect, because you are going to be considered a postgraduate. So I think that level of education would be needed once you've started the coursework. But yeah, I think do apply, because you can work in any field. I've seen people go into legal, policy, healthcare. I've also seen people work in areas that you never thought social workers work in, and that's programs and research sectors and education, where you're like, what would a social worker do there? But there's a lot to do. And I think it gives you just a broader sense of knowledge and a broader skill set that you can apply anywhere.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to both of you. That's really, that's a lovely coverage of your experience and your thoughts on social work. I wonder if we might open up to questions or anything we've received from our audience of things they would like to know.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm happy to answer a couple of the questions that have come in. Our first one is about job prospects, and we would say job prospects are excellent, and many of our students are going straight from the degree to jobs, and in fact need their results really quickly because they're getting snapped up. Some students are also getting employment at the end of their placements as well. And though these are in sectors in hospital social work, in child and family sector, in orange doors and family violence, so a range of jobs. We have, one of the questions was in regards to asylum seeker and refugee. We have a number of lovely relationships with some of the agencies that that support individuals who are asylum seekers, and also Red Cross. So yes, we do. In terms of your application and using this degree in other countries, one of the questions is how, would different jurisdictions accept our degree? In general, yes, but there is always an application process to demonstrate your evidence. So I think, we have fairly strong respect for our degrees in Australia, and these are translated internationally. I have worked in the UK with my UniMel social work degree. I am an undergrad as well, a graduate of this degree. If you come into the spring intake, one of the questions was, does the course look different? You just start with that semester 2, year 1 coursework, and then take the regular path after that. So going to, in your second year, calendar year of the degree, starting with semester 1 and the prerequisites. So that means that someone would be finishing mid-year through their 3rd calendar year. Placements are unpaid in social work, and that is a topic of hot debate across the country at the moment. One final, the number of places, interstate and international placements. International placement numbers are low. It's quite an endeavour to go to some of our international partners, but rural placements are very available. We have a really low workforce in rural Victoria, and we have great need there. So we have many placements in rural Victoria and also in the Northern Territory, although we share those placements with some of the other universities across Australia as well. Nicole, this is probably a good question for you. Can you speak to the general required hours of on-site attendance for the degree?
Depends on the subject. Usually this will this will be specified in the handbook. For each subject, it's up to 3 hours a week of contact time. Now, those 3 hours could look really different. Contact time meaning face-to-face time. That could look really different between if it's divided between a lecture or what we call a flipped classroom, which is when the equivalent of a traditional lecture where you come, sit in a big room with everyone, be lectured to, more of an active style of learning where the content will be up online for you to access in your own time. And I think that's the real key for a flipped classroom. You'll have plenty of time to do that. And then you come to a tutorial class, which depending on the subject will be either 1, 1.5 or 2 hours a week, over for us an 8-week semester. And then that would be for each subject you take. So typically a full-time enrolment is up to 4 subjects. Depends on our semester of how many subjects, never more than 4. But you can work sort of the time out from there. But I guess it's really important to say, what we didn't say earlier is when we're sort of just going through the course structure, we really try and group our course, or if you like, package our course. So when you join us as a first year student, we'll really look forward to seeing you on a Monday and a Tuesday, and really keep your hours contained within those days. And then when you become a second year student, we'll really look forward to seeing you Wednesday and Thursdays and try and really package that. And Friday is everyone's day away from teaching and learning and in our own time. But we really try and package the week that way so everyone knows their expectations and you can manage your own commitments around that.
Thanks, Nicole. And some of the last few questions just before we do wrap up shortly are placement related. So I'm happy to answer those. And one of them is, is it possible to tailor placements to your area of interest? So one of the things to really emphasize is that our degree is generalist and your placements are generalist as well. And it's really an amazing opportunity to look at the workforce and sector and think about, you know, the transferable skills across context. So, you know, we are always happy to hear from students about, you know, where they might be interested in going. You have pre-placement meetings with us. We also then have a process where you get to spend some time looking at the placements that are available in that placement period and, you know, nominating your preferences of up to 10. And the reason for that is to help you look at what you would not be able to attend, more so what you would love to attend, because we want to challenge you to think outside the box anyway. You might be pleasantly surprised by a context than what you maybe had thought about coming in. So no, there's no mandatory areas of placement, but in general, according to our guidelines, one placement must be kind of what we call a direct practice placement, where you're really trying those skills that you're learning counselling and interviewing, and the other might be research, policy, community development, and all the other amazing variety of placement that we have. So no, there's no mandatory area of placement, but the hours are mandatory. So they are a requirement of getting the degree that you do successfully complete 1,000 hours over your degree. Could you get placed in a rural location if you didn't preference it? No, because that is quite a thing to ask someone to lift yourself up and move. But we have lots of early discussions about those sorts of placements and help you plan that. If you are from a rural area, you know, talk to us. You know, if you have people that you could stay with while you're there. I just think what we do know is that the rural experiences are very rich, and actually students get to do quite a lot. But no, we wouldn't make you go to a rural placement. Is it possible to underload for this course in a way similar to undergraduate degrees, or is this course progression strictly 4 subjects a semester? Nick, did you want to answer that one?
Absolutely. If I'm following that question, up to 4 subjects a semester is the full time load. There's absolutely part-time options, and at the risk of saying something that sounds a little silly, part-time means anything that's not full-time. But what I mean by that, it can be 1 subject, 2 subjects, or 3 subjects, just not the 4. So a really traditional part-time plan would be to cut it in half in 2 subjects. If you who has asked that question, or if anyone's interested in a different derivative of that, so more than 4 years, or looking at maybe 3 subjects a semester, we just have a little chat together and figure out that plan. Our interest for you would be that you're hitting the right subjects at the right time, meaning our prerequisites that then let you go to the next stage of the course. So anything that has a rule for you to progress. So for example, you've got to do our first research subject first before you get to the second one, etc. But no, absolutely, there you can. It's almost a choose your own adventure with the course plan, with a bit of our help.
And each subject builds on each other in some ways too. They feed in across, going from the individual through the family to community, etc. Nicole, just another question here. When does the course start in 2024? The dates say January 29, or is it 12th of Feb?
Yes, good question. I'm not sure the letter you, but it's the 12th of Feb. It'll be a Monday, the week starting the Monday, 12th of Feb. That's really important, actually. So thank you for asking the question. Thank you for raising it. We're earlier than the rest of the university for a typical semester dates. So that's a really important point. And that is the start of our semester. So then we would love to welcome you and orient you. And really that is just the week before. So if we're starting on Monday the 12th, it would be the Monday before that. That is our orientation to the course. Monday and Tuesday for full-time students, yeah.
Thanks, Nicole. And one question here about when If the last degree was obtained 11 years ago, but there is relevant work experience, would that impact on an application? So in other words, is the 10-year guideline a hard limit?
If the degree you're meaning of 11 years, if that's your bachelor degree, yes, potentially that could limit. This is a very tricky one to give a one-size answer. Work experience can influence that, not always. It absolutely doesn't mean it rules you out. That's really important to recognise. And what can happen, what would be likely maybe to happen, would be what we call a really a facilitated pathway, where we would recommend you take one of our subjects, our degree subjects, take it, succeed in that subject to show your evidence of recent study. And it would be through a conditional offer that you join our program then. And completing that subject, it will be credited back to you as part of your degree. So please don't think that rules you out. It doesn't at all.
Thanks, Nicole. And there's 2 questions here for our students. Have you, in undertaking work while studying, have you been undertaking work while studying, and has it been challenging managing both work and study? Vanshika, you mentioned that. Would you like to reflect on how you felt working and studying, what it has been like?
Yes. I was working full-time before I started the coursework. So I've now gone to working 3 days a week, and I do university 2 days a week. And that's worked really well for me. I know some people who work full-time while completing coursework. And I know that they've been really successful with both. I think that's very subjective in how you manage your time. For me, working 3 days and doing university 2 days works perfectly well. I think I don't feel overwhelmed by either. But no, I think it's very subjective to what your comfort level is. I'm also not sure whether you're now required to come in person to university or not. But when I started, because of COVID, we had the option of doing online classes. And so I know a lot of people who did full-time work and then online classes, and that's how they managed it. But when I come in, I would recommend trying to balance both and not trying to push yourself to do full-time work when you're at university. People have successfully done it, but I think part-time work and full-time uni works as the best combination.
Did you have anything to add, or you'd like to comment, Xian?
Yes, I have, and I'm also doing this at the moment. Yeah, I work 2 days and study 2 days because we only have classes on Mondays and Tuesdays. And yeah, I found it's perfect for me. But I'm not sure if it's like a thing for everyone. Yeah, time management is quite important. Yeah, because you need to balance your study. You don't want to fail any subjects while working. Yeah. So
I can remember that experience too. So it is something to think about in terms of that placement period, that long period between your coursework. So that's why we have pre-placement discussions as well. So we'll probably, I'm afraid, have to close off answering any further questions during this session. But I was wondering if I could ask each of you, now panel members, whether you'd like to share a piece of advice for those who might be considering joining the Master of Social Work. Vanshika, what would be your advice to anybody listening tonight?
I think I wish somebody had given me this, but I think go in with an open mind in terms of career trajectories. Social work is very broad. It can open your trajectory up to so many different areas. And I think, be open in terms of accepting the coursework and what interests you when you're doing social work. Don't go in with the narrow mind of, this is exactly what I'm doing social work for.
Thank you. Xian, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, because I think in social work practice, professional identity is quite important thing for us to develop and explore. So our personal values, whether our personal values align with social work professional values is also important thing to consider. If you think you have a passion for supporting people in need and also making a difference to social injustice, yeah, then I guess social work is a perfect choice for you.
Wonderful, thank you. I don't think I can top that at all in terms of giving advice. That's beautifully put together and succinct. But I think, yeah, I agree. I can remember making this decision myself and never regretting it. The first lecture in social work just made sense, having come from an undergrad in psych and political science, and I have fit ever since, and that was 23 years ago. Over to you, Nicole.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's articulated it beautifully. Vanshika just took the words out of my mouth. There will be something that has drawn you to this information session this evening. There will be something or some things that are drawing you to this profession, this choice. That is excellent, and trust that, but keep your mind open to new possibilities. You know, as you go through the curriculum, things can shift or they may not. Just keep yourself open. Siwan, beautiful advice of emerging professional identity and being aware of our sense of self, and you know, don't struggle with that alone. You know, that's what all our teaching staff and us and Bronwyn and I are here for. I think my specific advice, please talk with us, please be open with us, please let us know what's going well, please let us know when you know, if any struggles arise. And I think back to the time management, we want to set you up as best as possible. So from the start of the semester, you'll know all your assessment dates, you'll know everything up front. We just don't want any surprises for you of the not so nice time. We really want to support you. You know, we really want to welcome you to our profession and have you as our colleagues.
Well, thank you, everyone. In particular, thank you to our students, Vanshika and Xian, and thank you for your time this evening. We really appreciate that student voice. It just brings the course to life. And thank you to you, our audience, for listening to us and attending this evening. A copy of this recording will be sent out tomorrow. Thank you, Nicole, for hosting this evening, and our friend Hamish in the background for driving the technology this evening. And Nicole, were there any final words from you as our course coordinator?
No, and thank you, Bronwyn. No, I echo those words of thanks. Everyone stay in touch. So so you will get this recording, you know, you will get this after the session. You're welcome to reach out to us, and please do. You know, if you have any questions, whether it's about eligibility or anything about the course, we'd love to answer them. But to reiterate, you know, we're accepting your applications now, and we will assess them. We'll assess them on a rolling basis up until that date in October. So we'd love to meet you. We'd love to have you. Thank you.